elected in 2015, the Liberal MP for Brampton East entered into a business relationship with a local businessman receiving pay from him. Even though there is a clear conflict of interest, the Brampton East member arranged to give his business partner privileged access to the Prime Minister and members of his cabinet while on the Prime Minister's disastrous trip to India. Why did the Prime Minister's office invite this individual on the trip to India when there is such a clear conflict of interest?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, let's be clear on the facts. The member has consulted the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner on this relationship and will keep following their advice. As is common practice, the member invited a diverse group of more than 30 stakeholders to participate in events around the India trip. In this case, people who were interested in attending could fill out a form online through the Canada India Business Council, which the individual in question also did. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
L'Honourable Leader d'Opposition à la Chambre.
Well, what's clear, Mr. Speaker, is the Liberals always seem to want to benefit their friends who are helping them and giving them money. The MP for Brampton East arranged for the person who is paying him to get access to the Prime Minister in India. We have a Conflict of Interest Act, Mr. Speaker, to avoid this exact type of behaviour. But the Liberals seem to have no regard for the Conflict of Interest Act. They're under constant investigation for these breaches. Mr. Speaker, again, who in the PMO authorized the attendance of this individual on the trip to India?
Respect for officers of Parliament, and that's why the member has consulted the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner on this relationship and will keep following their advice. We were proud to be joined by hundreds of community leaders and members of the business community to strengthen our ties with India, but I remind the member that the individual in question also received an invitation through the Canada India Business Council, which I think we can all agree is very important work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Opposition House Leader.
So let's be clear, it was the opposition that have referred this to the Conflict of Interest Act, it was to the office, it wasn't the Liberal member. Yet again, we have another questionable person travelling with the Prime Minister on his disastrous trip to India, and no one on the Liberal side who's willing to take responsibility. So much for transparency and accountability. All we get from these Liberals is denial and deflection. Mr. Speaker, what's next? Is the Prime Minister going to blame India for this new debacle?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I've said and I will continue to remind all Canadians that we are proud to be working to create more opportunity for the Canadian middle class and those working hard to join it. The member has consulted the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner on this relationship and will keep following their advice. MPs and business organizations will often invite communities and business leaders to join these business exchanges, increase Canada's standing in the global community, and we're going to continue doing just that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.